guys, I'm about to review a movie called Flea, as in F-L-E-E, having fled a country. This is an animated docudrama, which is a genre that you don't come across often, and in fact, I can't think of coming across it ever before. It's a Danish film, and it's a documentary about a person who's named within the film Amin Nawabi, although the actual identity of the person who's being interviewed is kept anonymous. And it's an interview with him and him telling his story across the duration of the film of his untold story, if you like, of fleeing persecution in Afghanistan, the Afghanistan of the Russian incarnation, not the American, fleeing Afghanistan, not knowing where his father has been taken by the Mujahideen, moving out to Russia, finding himself in Moscow in Russia, and the horrors of being Afghanistani in Russia, a sort of an illegal immigrant without the right papers, without the right documentation, forever being tapped for their money, and forever being blackmailed and just scrimping a living. And then it tells the story of them trying to be trafficked or paying for human traffickers to get them out of Russia. And it starts with them trying to get their sisters out. And there are moments in the film where they use just a few, not often, but they use a few live action sort of montages of real life footage from the moments that they're talking about. So for example, Amin, the character that the film's about, sisters, trafficker takes them within a sort of cargo ship, in one of those boxes on a cargo ship. They all nearly die of suffocation. And we see footage of this on the news. The important thing to say here, what's radical about this, is that happening on the soundtrack, you have a number of things. You have an interview happening with the character who's dubbed Amin, because of course they're staying anonymous. That interview drives the film. It's very much a first-person narration in interview of what happened to him. But it's also intercut with moments, because what we discover is that this character, Amin, is gay. And of course, for a gay child, both in Afghanistan and then in Russia, this is possibly one of the worst things you could possibly be. And so he's fighting these feelings of being attracted to, action heroes like Van Diesel or Jean-Claude Van Damme. And he's sort of not understanding why he's drawn to maleness and men on the television. He watches wrestling and things like that, and he doesn't understand why. And of course, he comes from a culture where there's not even a word for homosexuality. So the idea that he might be gay is as alien to him as it is to anyone else around him. And so we proceed to listen to him telling us the story in interview of the various attempts that he makes to escape Russia now. I mean, it's not, he's escaped Afghanistan, but now he's trying to escape Russia. They're trafficked. They spend a bit more money to get sort of a higher caliber of trafficker to get them onto a ship to somewhere like Estonia or just anywhere other than where they are. But at the same time, there's these other little inserts that are happening, which again, you only hear the voice of when they're animated. Where he's talking and he's in the process of trying to find a property or move in with his gay husband, his partner. And you have these moments of reflection and sort of, in a struggle with him being able to feel like he can belong. He's about to move to America. They're looking, he's going to work in America. And so you have this sort of modern narrative in the modern day about this guy, the same guy, who's struggling to sort of find his feet and to find his roots. He's struggling to sort of find a place which he can call home, to lay down his hat. And it's a reminder that when you're a misplaced people or a displaced people, and you've essentially become a refugee, a migrant, having any sense of the idea of home is really difficult. What is home? And this film really talks about that sort of stuff. Is home in you? Is home with the family? Is home an interior? Is it a culture? What is home? And of course that becomes fractured for so many people. It sounds like it might be really serious. It isn't. There are moments of great lightness. There are different animation styles, which I think are really wonderful in this film. There's the quite conventional animation, sort of clearly drawn, quite simply kind of animated. They're not going for sophisticated animation there. But then there's really powerful, impressionistic, dreamlike sequences. I mean, there's one moment where he's, as a child, listening to Aha singing that song. And in fact, they borrow almost the animation style from the original Aha pop video. I don't know if you remember. It was incredibly sort of innovative and groundbreaking, which is that sort of lightly brushed sketch work. And there are scenes where he talks about his mother fearing drowning, and they'll go off into a sort of abstract kind of almost exploration of how awful the drowning experience would be. And in that sense, animation allows you to go to places in a way that just factual documentary imagery just doesn't. One of the problems with documentary sometimes is that precisely that it's documenting reality and it's slavishly attached to what it is you're seeing. The joy of this film is it allows those moments where there are sort of interior monologues or flights of fancy or what if moments, so for example fears and things like that, and it can go off, the image track can go off into this sort of animated hinterland of daydreams and dreamscapes and nightmares too. There's one particular scene that was particularly distressing when they were travelling through the woods and their mother is going very slow, and there's someone else in the group of refugees who are basically being taken to a boat that's going to be too tight and too small, and they're all going to be locked in the bottom of the boat. And these traffickers are brutes. You get a real sense of how these traffickers hold all the keys to these people's fates. They've got all their money and they can do whatever they want, and there's this woman who can't move quickly, and so she runs the risk of being shot. And I won't give away what happens, but literally I was on the edge of my seat with that. It's an incredibly tender film. It's executive produced by Ahmed, the actor. It's tender, it's thought-provoking, and although it's about quite a serious subject matter and there are some really distressing moments in there, it allows us to personalise, I think, a crisis and a problem, namely refugees. Namely, when we hear the word Afghanistan, we all kind of go a bit blank, not because we don't care, but it's like, well, what can we do? It's such a sort of insurmountable dilemma. And this reminds us that there are countless millions upon millions of individuals with incredibly complicated journeys. It's not just being on a boat in the English Channel. You don't even know the layers of complication, the layers of cost, and the risk that has led to them getting there. And again, those sort of the Western humanity to this character is wonderful, because that helps our identification. So, the fact that he's gay, the fact that he's drawn to these American idols of the cinema, the fact that he listens to a-ha and Western music, that's kind of a neat extra ingredient, because it doesn't allow us to turn the other cheek and look the other way. It's too like us. And I think that's what's really clever about this film. I would fully recommend watching it. It's 90 minutes long. It's been nominated. It's a curious film. It's actually been nominated in 3 categories: for Best International Feature, Best Documentary, and Best Animated Feature. And I think that's the first time that that's ever happened for a single film. So you're probably going to hear about this film winning at least 1 Oscar, which is why we wanted to review it. And I think you should see it. And if you do, please share your thoughts below.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.